Hello, and today we'll be playing NeveN. This is chapter 3 for Tenoch. I'm not going to play everything in chapter 3. If you want to watch chapter 3, the entire chapter 3, you can go play chapter 3 for a cat. But a lot of things in this chapter I'm going to skip, like the meeting Eric had with the kings where he displayed his powers, as well as his meeting with Gilliant and Rowan. So those two parts of the chapter, I'll skip those and I'll just focus on the new content featuring Tenoch. So, remind me, why exactly can't we train in your room like last time? Because last time, it was almost certain that you wouldn't be able to activate your brand. Now that you're going to do it, I'm taking precautions. I want to remind you that when it first appeared, you shattered its ceiling. And I love this room too much to let the same thing happen to it. I thought that kind of explosion only happened when brands like always appeared. The others weren't forgetful ones' brands. Eric, I'm not taking any chances. So where do we go? Where everyone goes to train. I've asked the temple to prepare a training room for us. So you don't mind if I blow something up in there, do you? It's unlikely to happen anyway, but I'd rather be careful. Lizard came looking for me at dawn, claiming that the future belongs to those who get up early or some such banality. I absolutely disagree with that idea. Sleeping late is a necessity for any normally constituted being. So, were you able to find your awakening jester? I spent a good time trying out everything I can think of, but so far, none of the things I tried have provoked so much as a sever. Maybe you're doing it wrong. You're literally teaching me, Tenoch. You're supposed to know about this stuff, aren't you? It's just that, usually the awakening gesture is something pretty obvious, but I've got some ideas and potentially a solution. Potentially? We'll be at the temple. If we can't really find anything, we can always ask one of the priests there for help. I suppose. A brief moment of silence followed before a new idea came to me. How did you find yours, by the way? Knowing might give me some ideas. My awakening gesture, well, he scratches the back of his head with embarrassment and he shrugs. I wasn't always that example of dignity and self-restraint you see before you. They are not exactly the words I would have used, but go on. When I was younger, I was very, shall we say, undisciplined. I used to do my best to make people smile when they came to visit my father, which I did with rather tasteless jokes at their expense, so he can guess they weren't smiling much. As for my awakening gesture, well, it was simply the way I used to sign my misdeeds. Fortunately, when I became an adult, these bad habits came to an end, but a gesture remained. He smiles at me as he continues to move forward, and I can't help but to smile too. From what he tells me, we must not have been all that different growing up. So maybe I have something similar to this gesture. Something that would come naturally to me that I would do often, especially after a moment of, oh, I'm an utter idiot. Eric? Yeah, I might have an idea. Just to be sure, the gesture of awakening has to be an actual gesture, right? Something that requires you to move. Most of the time, yes. most of the time. So it could be something else. It could be spoken words, for example. It's quite rare, but it happens. Why? He pauses for a moment then, while looking at me with squinting eyes. Don't tell me you haven't tried singing. Well, bar organ, Eric. You're a bard. That should have been one of the first things you tried. Hey, it's not my fault. You said it should be a gesture. Singing is a gesture. I told you to try something that represents you or that you do frequently, and singing never occurred to you? I guess. What are you thinking? You should have been clearer with your instructions. Oh no, you're certainly not going to blame me. This is entirely your fault. Was his fault? Oh shit. Paul gave me a scare. How does he manage to appear out of nowhere? Well, it's possible that I was a little too absorbed in my disgust with Tenoch to see him coming. Lord Vol, what a pleasant surprise I must have been. I didn't expect to see you here. I couldn't help it, Lord Tenoch. I simply wish to have the opportunity to see the brand of NeveN in action. I can't imagine if someone from the temple such as yourself, it must be fascinating. You have no idea. A forgetful one has finally chosen someone. It's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, so I was hoping to take part in your lesson. If Eric agrees, I have no objection. After all the temple has done for me, I cannot deny you such a small favor. He says that, but I can tell that Tenoch is not thrilled with the idea. He doesn't make it clear, but I'm starting to know him. He's much stiffer than usual, and the tip of his tail is beating the air behind him. However, even I have absolute trust in him, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have someone who knows about brands with us, at least for the first lesson. I don't see any problem with that. After all, it's the temple's business too. Tenoch looks as if he's about to sigh before pulling himself together. In that case, let's go. He starts to walk around the building, then Vol and I follow him. A heavy silence follows. It's so heavy, absolutely unbearable. You may not like each other, but there's absolutely no way I'm going to stand here and say nothing. By the way, Vol, I was wondering. Yes, I know Tenoch's awakening gesture, and I think I know mine now, but what's yours? Pain. Excuse me? I need pain. More specifically, the pain experienced in a forge. Sometimes the hammer hits a hand and not the anvil. That's my act of awakening. I'm starting to regret my decision. This guy is absolutely insane. Tenoch gives me a look in which I can only read disapproval. Okay, alright. I understand. I should have said no. We end up in the classroom that's been provided to us. It's full of books and desks. In short, it's a perfect example to start using a brain that could explode. I am absolutely out of my environment amongst all these writings. Tenoch sits down on one of the tables, which elicits a slight grunt from Vol, who for his part is content to stand in the entrance. Come on, I'll look at your brain. So, I sing and that's it? I'll focus on your brain, yes. I can sing any song. In theory, I don't think the words are really important. Oh, Mr. Kind Sir. You have no idea of the myriad of possibilities you have just offered me. There was deep in the creek, the daughter of the blacksmith. Up was her butt cheek, so I needed to act quick. I could hear Vol growling behind me again while Tenoch looks up at the ceiling and smiles. I better focus, though. I'm here for something specific, after all. Just as I'm about to sing the second verse, which details what to do with the blacksmith's daughter's exposed bottom, I feel a warmth run down my back and I can't help but stutter. Fascinating. What's happening? Congratulations, Eric, you're wrecking your brain. Tell me everything. What do you feel? What do you see? At the moment, I'll be honest, my back feels a bit hot. Other than that, I don't really feel much different. I hope it's the usual warmth induced by the brand, and not the one due to the repercussion of the ambassador's brand that would make learning a lot more complicated. Do you know about Tenoch's problems? I'm the highest authority in the temple, of course I know. Lord Vol has been most enthusiastic about helping me with my research on the specifics of our brands. Tenoch is barely trying to hide the venom in his voice. I don't know what happened between them, but it's more than obvious that they don't like each other and aren't doing much to hide it. In any case, now that your brand is awake, it's time to take the next step. Now let's see what you can do. Sure, let's do it. I paused a blink while looking at Tenoch. Why did I do that? How did I do that? Now that your brand is awake, it should be easy enough. It'll come to you naturally. It's a bit like uses one of your brands. Based on the little ad you gave us during the competition, it looks like your brand allows you to start time for other people. We'll test that on something smaller than an African to start with. He reaches over to one of the bookcases and grabs the first book he finds before making it bounce in his hand. How about we try to freeze this for a start? Could you show a little respect for? It's just a student notebook, though. I doubt there's anything irreplaceable in there. Eric, stare at the book, focus on it, and do what comes naturally to you. I think we're still doing in-depth explanations. I guess I'll just have to make do. So I fix my gaze on the books, staring at it as intently as I can. I must look absolutely ridiculous. Just as I'm about to give up, I notice something strange. On the cover of the book, there's now something that wasn't there before. I'm sure of it. A series of white circles slowly spinning and rotating on themselves. And I don't know why, but I know I could stop them if I wanted to. All I have to do is think about them. They become still around the book. Well, there you go. Tenoch smells at me and then slowly steps back, dropping the book, which remains in its place. It is frozen in the air, completely motionless. I stand there for a moment, watching it. So it wasn't a one-time thing. I just froze something in place, but I simply wanted to. That's absolutely extraordinary. The priest approaches the book, absorbing it from every angle, clearly fascinated by what is happening before him. For once, I have to agree with you, Vo. It's really impressive, Eric. And it's also really easy. It's almost frightening how simple it is. It's truly a divine blessing. NeveN is generous. So everything's fine so far? No particular effect? I don't think so. Perhaps we were wrong. It's a brand of a forgetful one, after all. I prefer to remain cautious. Can you deactivate your brand, please? We don't want to exhaust you. How do I do it? You just have to risk it. It shouldn't be difficult. Is that all there is to it? And then this whole brand thing is a lot simpler than everyone seems to think. So I concentrate for a brief moment on deactivating mine. At this rate, I still have the thing completely under my control, and a violent pain erupts around my cheek, and I can feel the blood rushing. What the? Sorry, I can't see what I'm supposed to do. That's okay. I don't expect you to get everything right on the first attempt. We'll just try something else. Tenoch smiles at me, and I'm about to reply when something hits me on the cheek. I let out a small cry. I pain before covering the place where it hurts with my hand. Then looking at it to see blood dripping down my fingers. What the fuck do you do? So it's not an automatic reaction either. I turn to Vo to see him standing there, his hands outstretched in front of him, two small pebbles floating slowly above it. Did you just throw a fucking stone at me? I just wanted to check if your brand was similar to Araqua's. And you couldn't do it any other way? A wave of heat suddenly engulfed me. Tenoch activated his brand, and he looks absolutely furious. Get out of here. I thought I made it clear that I didn't like the way you handled things. My vision blurs for a moment, and then things return to normal. The pain is completely gone. I slide my hand across my cheek, and nothing. It never happened. But I remember it. I can still feel the pain, the warmth coming from Tenoch. The sensations are real. Eric, is everything alright? I turn to Tenoch and see nothing but concern on his face, no trace of the anger he was displaying moments before. I think I'm okay, but something was weird. What it was, explain immediately. I want to know every detail. Vo seems even more interested than he was before. It's just that I thought I was something that never happened. Well, not exactly. It's more than that. It's almost as if I'm recalling something that happened. I can still remember the sensations I was discussing, as if I was there. And you're sure this is something you haven't experienced before? Yeah, I'm sure. I was trying to freeze the book as you asked me to, but I couldn't do it. So Vo threw a pebble at me to see if my plan only worked when I was threatened or something like that. That's absolutely extraordinary if what you say is true. Wait, he threw a pebble at you? On the cheek? Oh, calm down, it didn't really happen. But you were planning to do it anyway. If necessary, yes. Teaching him how to use his brain is more important than a momentary plan. What? Really? Eric, we're leaving. I couldn't agree more. I don't think I want to stay here any longer. Not so fast, you two. We need to study these strange visions. Oh, we will, but certainly not here, and especially not with you. Tenoch moves towards the door and I follow, but Vo steps in. The metal on his arms vibrating slightly as a faint blue glow emanates from beneath. Don't forget who I am, lizard. Brands are my field, not yours. Tenoch's brand lights up, and a wave of heat suddenly fills the room, instantly making me sweat. For a brief moment, I even think I see flames appear at the tip of the lizard's horns. Vo's eyes blur slightly, his anger giving way to concern. You seem to have forgotten who I am, priest. Need I remind you of my position and yours? Don't forget that I am and always will be your superior. Now, out of the way. Vo holds Tenoch's gaze for a few moments before finally stepping back to let him pass. This is not over, Lord Tenoch. We'll talk about it later. But now it's over. And with those last words, Tenoch exits the room, but I'll do my best to follow him. He still looks pissed off, which strikes me as extremely odd. I mean, yes, I don't appreciate the fact that Vo wants to hurt me to make my brand work. But it's not like he actually did it. It was just, I don't know what this vision was exactly. All I know is that I saw something that didn't actually happen, that I didn't hallucinate. Tenoch, what was that? He just got on my nerves, that's all. I understand, but don't you think you've gone a bit too far? What was all that talk about your place and his? Eric, not now. I just want to know. Not now, and not here. He pauses briefly and lets out a long sigh as he runs his hand over his face. There are things you don't know, that's all, at least not yet. But you're on the council now, so I suppose I can explain. It's just that I don't want to do it in public, and I'd rather calm down first. Alright, nothing serious, I hope. It's complicated. Does that have something to do with the fact that you got so angry with Vo? I mean, he didn't do anything per se. But he intended to, that's the main thing. Besides, he's been doing everything he can to get in my way since I got here. The fact that he was willing to hurt you on top of everything else, that was just the last straw. But why? I mean, from what little I've seen of him, he doesn't strike me as the most sympathetic person, but I find it hard to see why he'd have any specific grudge against you. I'll explain it tomorrow, I promise. So we'll continue the lessons tomorrow? Of course, but for our next training sessions, we'll stay in my room. Oh, so that means I'll be able to continue continue teaching you things too. I cast an amused glance at Tenoch, hoping to put a smile on his face. Unfortunately, it's not a great success. We'll see. In the meantime, do you mind if we don't talk? I need to calm down a bit. Oh, yeah, we can do that. So the rest of the trip is spent in an intense silence. I'm not going to lie, this is exactly how I envision things. And I thought I'd never see Tenoch lose control like that. He always seems to know exactly what he's doing. I wonder what's going on between him and Vo, and especially what he's hiding from me that he plans to tell me tomorrow. He said that now that I'm on the council, I'll know about anything. It must be some kind of state secret or something. Eventually, we come within sight of the castle where Tenoch grabs me by the arm. Go ahead on your own. There's someone I need to see. I'll survive until then. Are you sure you're alright? I'll be fine. Off we go. You still got training with Gillant. Ah, that's right. I forgot about that. I can't exactly say I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you tomorrow then? Sure, see you tomorrow. I watched him disappear around the corner before making my way towards the castle. Strange morning. Strange behavior from Tenoch. I don't have time to dwell on that, though. Gillant must be waiting for me somewhere, and I doubt he'll appreciate my late arrival. I swear to you, Eric, I think Gillian and Rowan are trying to kill me. Are you sure you're not overdoing it? Me overdoing it? Never. My training with the two guards wore me out, and despite my many pleas, neither of them agreed to carry me on the walk back to the castle. I'll find a way to exact my revenge. There's no way I'm letting this go. Fortunately, I'm now in a much more peaceful environment, one that is much more in my element. And Ken and I are in his room, firmly resolved to prepare ourselves as best we can for Maybjorn's birthday and its opening song. Unlike the contest, I can't just sing something I like. The choice of the song will set the tone for the rest of the festival. However, that's not quite where my mind is at the moment. And then Vo and Tenoch came close to, well, they both tried to help me train for my brand, except they can't stand each other, and it's not exactly the best environment to learn in. Oh, sorry about that. Do they have a solution to make it better? Tenoch has decided to leave Vo out. He'll be the only one looking after me now. And from what I gather, he's enjoying doing so. There's a hint of anger in our cat's voice, which seems so strange coming from the falcon. I have already apologized. I know, I just need a little time, that's all. I can't really blame him. But at least you've learned some new things, haven't you? Yep. I know how to activate my brand now, and please book some time. That's a start, I suppose. And get the feeling that you are not impressed by the extraordinary extent of my powers. Let's just say I'm glad you're still training. We both laughed before resuming our conversation. You're learning new things anyway, right? That's the most important thing. I'd rather learn by having fun. I don't doubt for a second. Unfortunately, life isn't that simple. Yeah, well, life could make an effort to be simple once in a while. Don't you think we end up bored if it was? Probably yes, but in that particular case, I feel like I have the right to complain. Well, I certainly won't stop you from complaining. I can't last again as he gently strokes the strings of his lute. So, do you have any idea what we can do for our first act as royal bards? I have a few. I think we honestly want something warlike, considering how they like it here. Plus, it'll give our favorite prince an armor an occasion to show he is a warrior first and foremost. Also, I want to give you a solo. It'll give you a chance to shine as well while I focus on a way to show off my brand. And do you have any ideas on how to do that? Not really, no. All I can do at the moment is freeze a book. That's not exactly impressive, but with practice, I'll come up with something. In the meantime, I'll send you some of my ideas. If you like any of them, we can always go with that for now. Perfect, I'll listen carefully then, and during the next few hours I'll sing him several songs from my repertoire, which at least in my opinion fit with what we are asked to do. I can't accept or reject some of them. We work that way for the rest of the day. From time to time, I take advantage of being in the middle of singing to awaken my brain, which does not fail to attract a cat's attention, since he is obviously amazed by what he sees. It would seem that any song would do us as an awakening gesture. That's good to know. We eventually stop when we both start to get tired, and as I glance out the window, I see that the sun is started to set. Well, we have been there longer than I thought we would. We were immersed in our work, after all. Is it really hard if it's what I like to do? A cat happily smiles before stretching with a yawn. Looks like you've had enough for the day. Sorry, it's just that. Don't worry, my eyelids are getting heavy too. A little rest won't hurt, especially if we do this again tomorrow. A cat nods silently. We then go downstairs to eat, and the rest of the evening goes as peacefully as possible, which I'm not going to complain about. This day is tiring enough as it is. That's why once I get into bed, I collapse and close my eyes as I sink like a stone into slumber. I find myself outside Tenoch's bedroom door early this morning. I am genuinely curious as to what he may have to say to me now, and sincerely hope that he has been able to calm down. It doesn't take long for the ambassador to open the door for me, and I'm pleased to see him flashing his usual smile. You're looking better than yesterday. What, do you think I was going to keep sulking? It doesn't take long for the ambassador to open the door for me, and I'm pleased to see him flashing his usual smile. You're looking better than yesterday. What, do you think I was going to keep sulking for days? Come on, you should know that's not my style. I don't know, I've never seen you this upset before. I'm sure you're exaggerating. I give him a doubtful look, but I don't exist. So, where do we start? Make yourself comfortable. There are some things I need to explain to you first. I know you won't be able to focus on anything until I've told you what you want to know. Hey, you're starting to understand me. Once again, you're not as difficult to understand as you seem to think. I stick my tongue out at him before throwing myself onto his sofa. Then the lizard settles calmly beside me. Before we begin, it's very important that you understand that what I'm about to tell you is known only to you and certain members of the council. Among them are the royal family, of course, but also Vol and Edwin. It has to stay that way, at least for the next 3 months. So you're going to keep this to yourself. You're not telling anyone. If I make myself clear? I hold my tongue to not. That's also part of the job. A bard doesn't have to tell everything he knows. Good, so let's start with the simplest part. Who do you think I am? What do you know about me? It's not exactly what I expected, but so be it. I guess he wants to go somewhere with this. Let's see, as far as I know, you're Tenoch, the White Incarnate, I believe. That's one of your titles anyway, also Ambassador of Kazal to Foxfang. You're the son of a powerful nobleman who's probably very rich, given that you seem to have almost unlimited means. You also have the biggest brand of organ I've ever seen. You certainly seem capable of using it. I might add that you're incredibly attractive, you know it, and you use it perfectly. I look at him briefly and he smiles back. Well, for the most part, I'd say you're right, especially the last part. However, I'm not just the son of any powerful nobleman. It's a bit more complicated than that. Let me reintroduce myself. I am Tenoch, Fire Incarnate, Ambassador of Kazal, son and heir of Hauni, the White Dragon, the Sky's Wrath, Emperor Kazal. What? I scrutinized Elizabeth's face, trying to see if this is a bad joke, because it's got to be. There's nobody the heir of the Empire is here, and no one knows about it. Not to mention everything it implies and the discussions we had all set. I fought the future emperor of the greatest nation in the world. What have I done? This is exactly what Rhaegar wanted me to avoid. He's going to kill me. What can I do? It's not possible. Eric, calm down. But there's no reason for you to worry about anything. Well, but I accepted your advances, didn't I? Besides, it's not as if I had anything to complain about. He smiles at me as I try to calm down. Damn, what's happening now? How is that possible? Even if nobody knows about it, your name should be famous. As I told you, things are complicated. No one here knows because hardly anyone in Kazal knows about it either. What? But that's impossible. How could anyone not know the identity of the future emperor? Because I wasn't supposed to become emperor in the first place. It should never have been a possibility. My father is indeed Howini, Emperor Kazal, but my mother, well, she's just a palace servant. And I'm a bastard, Eric. Sorry? There's no need to be. I may not be a legitimate son, but I have nothing to complain about. My parents really love each other. Their status prevents them from marrying. My situation is far from exceptional. Imperial bastards are relatively common in Kazal, and we have a well-defined status. I grew up in the palace with my half-brothers and sisters, but of course father didn't show me at receptions and other events as a privilege meant for his heirs. So what, you were hidden from the world? Oh, they tried to hide me for sure, but I'm too flamboyant for that. You'll have probably realized that I like to be noticed. No, I was, let's just say that officially, I wasn't a member of the imperial family. My destiny was merely to be a political tool. I would have been married to someone's daughter in order to make a treaty or something. So how did you end up in this position? I've already told you, haven't I? I had a sudden advantage over the rest of the family. He smiles at me and holds his hand out in front of him, making a small flame appear above his palm, then dance in the air. When my brand appeared, it was hard not to see it as a sign from the gods. Not only was it a brand of organ of highest possible status, but it was also gigantic, the biggest brand anyone has ever seen. So father made a decision. Such a sign could not be ignored. It must have meant that I was destined to be more than just a political tool. I was destined to rule. So you became an heir just because of your brand? Indeed, but I have every intention of showing that I deserve it. I find it hard to understand why it's such a secret. Because just as my father told me about his decision, I collapsed for the first time. I think I'm the first lizard to suffer from hypothermia. The adverse effects of my brand thwarted my father's plans. It's hard to become emperor of a country I can't live in. And that's why you're here, to learn how to control your brand. Luckily for you, that's the best uses are also in the coldest country of the continent. On top of that, I've managed to find a cute little rabbit. This journey has nothing but advantages after all. He laughs briefly. But indeed, my father has decided to delay the announcement of his new heir. To be safe, we all decided not to reveal my true identity. That way we limit the risk of assassination attempts on a future emperor. So I've been sent here with a 4-year deadline. If I manage to master my brand within those 4 years, I'll be emperor. If not, I'm probably the only Khazarian noble who can stay here in the long term. In that case, I'd probably keep my ambassadorial position stuck here, forgotten. That's not going to happen. I'm sure I'll be able to go home now. I hope, for your sake, to be honest, I'll be sad to see you go. He grabs me by the cheek and pulls gently. Oh, I miss you too, buddy, but we're not there yet. But I don't quite understand. When you say you're being careful, what exactly are you risking? I suppose you're protected all the same? Oh, of course, not to mention that I'm not exactly easy to capture or kill, even without an escort. He juggles his flames for a brief moment, making them jump from hand to hand as he smiles at me to emphasize his point. The best way to protect someone is to make sure that the enemy isn't aware that they have to look for someone. But do you have that many enemies? I find it hard to see who will go after Kazal. Kazal, no one, but not Kazal. I am a future emperor who has not been trained to rule. A free spirit whose political views are unknown. Nothing frightens a court noble more than that. Not to mention those who will want my brother to accede to the throne. He is far more traditional than I am. For that matter, he's entirely legitimate. He is the son of my father's first wife. I could hardly be in a better position than to contest my accession to the throne. I can understand why he resents you so much. He didn't take the news well when father told him he'd be playing second fiddle, indeed, but that doesn't matter. I'll prove that I deserve it. As long as it's what you want, I suppose. What I want, Eric, is more than that. That's what I've always dreamed of. I'm not just going to be a good emperor, you know. I'm going to be the best this world has ever seen. So much so that your name can be seen in the stars. Is that it? I'll force the gods to write it there if necessary. He gives me his best smile, and I can't help but join him. After all, if he's not worried about his status and the obvious class differences between us, I suppose it shouldn't be either. I hope so either way. So when you reminded Vo who you were yesterday, a mere ambassador would be a weight below him, of course, but the Emperor says something else altogether. Not to mention that he knows perfectly well that we could invade Phosphane if we wanted to, so that tends to dampen his fire. Oh, really? There would be no problem at all. McCann never managed it. I don't see why it should be any different with you. First of all, Kazai's not McCann. We don't simply rely on numbers. We use this little thing called strategy. Secondly, your mountains are not as impenetrable as you seem to think. I refuse to believe that. They protected us for centuries. And yet, alright, I'll buy it. How will you go about it? Now, you didn't really think I was going to tell your military secrets because you got a pretty face to you. He burst out laughing at me, clearly proud of his little trick. Yep, I jumped in with both feet. I deserve it. Right, unless you have any more questions about my status, I think it's time we start what we're really here. Questions I still have hundreds floating around in my head, but not right now. I need to settle down first and to make sure I understand all the situation. And to knock us why I came here with something else entirely. Alright, teacher, let's go. I'm listening. Perfect. I've been thinking about what happened yesterday after you deactivated your brand, and I think it's actually the after effect of your power. You know, unlike mine, which is constant, yours only seems to hit once you finish using your brand. So I'm safe in my everyday life? Yes, well, if I'm right anyway. So, what do you think is going on? Before I explain, I'd just like to do a little experiment to make sure I'm not wrong. Alrighty, what did you have in mind? Freeze something in the room, anything, it doesn't really matter. What I want you to remember is that if you can't do it, you have to tell me and close your eyes. You don't think I'm going to fail? I didn't really have a problem with succeeding yesterday. Oh, I don't doubt for a moment that you will, but just in case, don't forget. If you can't do it, just tell me and close your eyes. I cast a doubtful glance at Tenoch, who continues to smile at me. I suppose he's got something on his mind. I'm not going to try figuring out what's going on in that scaly skull. I hope to awaken my brand while wandering my gaze around his room, looking for something to freeze. Eventually my eyes land on a piece of parchment on his desk, which shakes slightly with each breeze. I focus on it until the white circles appear and I stop them. It seemed even simpler than yesterday. Something tells me I won't even have to focus specifically on what I want to freeze after a while. Done. See? No chance of me failing. Now what? You can deactivate your brain. Is that all? That should do it. I just want to test the after effect, and I don't think the situation will make any difference, but I could be wrong. We're still finding out what you can do, after all. With a shrug, I obey and stop using my brain. The moment it fades, I can feel a gentle touch on my lips, almost like a kiss, while again, events that never happened unfold before my eyes. I don't understand. Yesterday I managed it without the slightest problem. That's alright. Do you remember what I told you? Oh, to close my eyes? I don't see how that's going to help. For once, just do what I ask. When inside, I close my eyes. I really wonder what's on his mind. After a few moments, I can feel him gently grab my cheek, caressing it tenderly. Tenoch. I don't even have time to finish the first word of my sentence before I feel him press his lips against me, kissing me softly. After a brief moment of surprise, I yield and kiss him back. What the fuck is this? Another memory of something that didn't happen? Well, this time is much more pleasant than last time. I'm certainly not going to complain about it, but still. Have you seen anything yet? I needed you to tell me. I couldn't use my brain. I don't know why. And then I closed my eyes. I think you took the opportunity to kiss me. Fantastic. I know I'm really adorable, but to be happy for a version of you that doesn't exist outside my head. Well, no, silly, it means I was right. That's usually what I was planning to do if you failed to activate the brain. Okay, I'm going to need you to slow down a bit and explain this to me. Sorry. I think the idea behind the adverse effect of your power is quite simple, but potentially terrifying. It makes you experience in the form of a memory the events as they would have happened if you hadn't managed, for one reason or another, to use your brain like me kissing you, or Vol and his stone yesterday. Exactly. That doesn't sound so bad. For what you've said, you're done more than just seeing a vision, aren't you? Yeah, it's like it's a persistent memory. I feel what happened. Imagine being in a combat situation. What happens if you use your power to avoid killing blow? Oh, I remember dying. I'll feel myself dying. You can avoid the events themselves, but not the sensations associated with them. No matter what I do, I feel what would have happened right. That's what I think, anyway. You'll always be able to know what would have happened and you'll remember it as if you lived it. Great. Yeah, it's not all bad. The last vision you had was rather pleasant, wasn't it? I suppose so. What do you mean? What do you mean you guess? Give the lizard a playful look. Maybe I can still get something positive out of this. No, I wasn't necessarily focused on that when I came back from my visit. Maybe with a second round, I'll be able to form a better opinion. Oh, really? Before I even have time to respond, Tenoch grabs me and pulls me against him as he kisses me again. Well, again, from my point of view, it's the first time for him. This whole thing is complicated. I should stop thinking and just relax to enjoy the moment. And that's what I eventually do, returning his kiss as my hand slides slowly down his belly to rest his smooth scales. I continue to move down little by little, grazing the edge of his loincloth as he pulls back. Said, I would love to keep going. Not so fast, Rabbit. We can continue once the lesson is over. Oh, really? That didn't fall on deaf ears. I hope so. In the meantime, let's refocus. Okay, alright. I'm listening. What else do you have for me? such that might be useful to you later. He smiles at me as he gets up to fetch something from his desk. Then he returns a few moments later, balancing a ball of cloth in his hand. Endurance, let's see how long you freeze that little ball. This day marked the beginning of a long series of similar days. In the morning, training sessions were not regularly supplemented by activities that are far less studious but could prove just as tiring. In the afternoon, rehearsals were at cat. Every other day I have my training sessions with gearing up too. My mornings with the lizard are not only the most interesting but the most enjoyable parts of my day. I simply appreciate spending time with the ambassador. His company is exciting. Plus learning new things about my brand every day is not something I dislike. The first thing we've discovered is that for the first time being at least, I can only freeze something for approximately 1 minute. On the other hand, I can freeze up to 3 different objects at the same time. Tenoch thinks I might be able to do more, but that I can't think of more than 3 things. I'll prove this full wrong. Next came the limit in terms of size. After several experiments with larger and larger objects, we realized that that wasn't really the issue. I have a limit, but not a size limit. It's a weight limit, 80 kilos to be precise. Tenoch is proving to be a pretty good teacher. After all, when he takes the trouble to explain, he's able to do it relatively well. The fact that any major discovery is celebrated in his bed is also a significant bonus. The rehearsals with Ike are also going well. Our styles are blending nicely, and we now have a few songs ready for the festival. We are exchanging ideas about how to best use my brand, but so far nothing conclusive. So, 2 weeks pass in relative peace until finally my sleep is disturbed by someone knocking on my door early in the morning. I leave my room and head for Tenoch's. The castle is plunged into darkness with only a few torches illuminating the corridors. I don't know exactly what time it is, but it's really late. For a brief moment, I think maybe this is a bad idea about this, but the prospect of going back to bed alone, a civil, there's no way I'm going back to sleep. I start to climb the stairs to Tenoch's floor. I hear someone coming down. My first instinct is to try to hide before I finally decide to keep going. After all, I live here. I have every right to wander the corridors in the middle of the night if I feel like it. There's nothing weird about that. What's definitely weirder is the figure I recognize standing on the stairs. Sven? Well, if it isn't the royal bar himself. What the fuck are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing. I live here, Sven. Oh yes, I forgot the privileges of the job, I suppose. That's not the point, and you didn't answer my question either. You're not the only one with friends in high places. The difference is that mine don't give me any special treatment. You're still holding that grudge? I won. You'll have to deal with it, sooner or later. We both know you didn't win because of your talent, but because of the brand you bear on your back. I wonder how it feels knowing you're not recognized for what you can do. Shut up. Ooh. Looks like I hit the nail on the head. As always, it's a pleasure to remind you of the reality of life, Eric. I told you to shut the fuck up. I put Sven against the wall, sliding my arm under his chin to press against his throat in the hope of making his smile disappear. Unfortunately, however, it only has the opposite effect. Ah, there it is. This is who you really are. Too bad nobody's here to see it. Fuck you. You're the only one who pushed me over the edge. I may have been the one who gave the last push, but we both know you did it all on your own. Poor little Eric. His life is so complicated and so many bad things are happening to him. The truth is, you can't control your emotions. You pretend everything is fine until you explode in someone's face. And in this environment, look at you. Barely 3 weeks here, and you're already threatening to strangle me. All I can do is wait for the moment you snap at the wrong person. That's not going to happen, really. We'll see. I suppose in the meantime, unless you really want to come to blows, let go of me. I also shoved my fist into his face really, really strong. I stepped back and loosened my grip on his throat to let him go. Go away. Gladly. Oh, and by the way, you should take care of yourself a bit more. You look awfully, buddy. Go fuck yourself. He settles for a brief nigger and then descends the stairs. Bastard. Alright, let's calm down. Don't let that asshole get to you. There's enough in there already. That's not what you need. I need something else to think about. I need a stressor, which brings me back to why I'm on the staircase. Tenoch. Spending the night with him will undoubtedly put all that misery out of my head, and the lizard is never against a good womp. As I make my way towards his room, I quickly try to tidy up my fur. Even if NeveN could make a remark about it in the gloom of the staircase, I must look awful. Eventually, I arrive at the bachelor's door. For a brief moment, I wonder again if this is such a good idea, but my body acts faster than my thoughts, and I knock. At this hour, it better be important. At least he's awake. Then Tenoch opens the door. He gives me a surprised look. He was clearly not expecting to see me. At this hour, it better be important. At least he's awake. When Tenoch opens the door, he gives me a surprised look. He was clearly not expecting to see me there. Eric, what the? I don't give him time to finish. I just grab his collar and pull on it, forcing him down so I can kiss him. At the same time, I push him into the bedroom, closing the door behind us once we were inside. Eric, what's got into you? I thought you wouldn't mind a little nightmare surprise. I stepped forward to kiss him again, but Tenoch pushed me away, gently but firmly. No. Come on, sis, when have you? I said no, Eric. Certainly not when you barged into my room in the middle of the night as if you just come from a funeral. What's going on? It doesn't matter what I look like. My never, what am I doing? He's a friend for fuck's sake, not some stranger I met at the back of a bar. What was I thinking? I can't do this. I can't treat him like an object simply there to distract me from my problems, but gods, I'm horrible. Run my hands over my head to grab my ears, that I pull on them to bring them back to the base of my neck. The pain helps to bring some clarity back to my thoughts. I have to go. I'm going to apologize and get out of here. So I soon have come. Eric, wait. Tonight grabs me by the shoulder before I can get out. I try to push him away, but obviously he's stronger than me. Wait a minute. I want to know what's going on. It's nothing. I made a mistake. That's all. I can see that you're crying. Am I crying? Maybe I am. I don't know. I force a smile onto my face before turning to Tenoch. There, you see? A big smile, all good. I turn around, trying to leave again. I find the door handle covered in flames. I'm not letting you go until I know what's happening to you. Run my hands over my head to grab my ears once again. However, Tenoch grabbed my hands before I could start pulling. Stop. He forces my arm down and hugs me, pressing himself against my back without saying a word. Then a sob I can't contain escapes my lips, followed by another, then another. I don't know how long I stay still in his arms crying. With each flowing tear, I feel a little tighter, a little lighter. Every one of the things I have been pushing away eventually comes back to my mind and slips away my brain. The counsels, the likelihood of war, my past with vigor. I'm not sure how I finally find myself sitting on Tenoch's sofa, the lizard next to me. Are you feeling better? Yes, I'm sorry. Why? They had to see all that, and for the way I came in here. I should never have done that. I accept your apology for your interest, but not for the rest. But you're an Anthrocan, like everyone else. You have the right to be in a bad place, and you also have all the rights to snap, especially when everything that's happening to you right now. And I'm your friend. I'm here to help you at times like this, but you need to talk to me about it. But you should certainly not jump on me like you did. So absolutely. And no, am I really, really sorry. It's just a bad habit, I suppose. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not very good at managing my emotions. When something goes wrong, if something goes wrong, I just tend to push it away. Try not to think about it, and when that doesn't work, I look for a distraction. You have to admit sex is a pretty good distraction. When I was still in my band, I was content to go into a tavern and fuck the first guy who wanted me. Rhaegar was always disappointed. He didn't say it, but I could see it. From my point of view, it was either that or deal with my problems, and I couldn't do that. So right now, I need a distraction. I thought of you. It's horrible, I know. I didn't even see you as a person anymore, just a means to an end. So when I got here, all I saw in your eyes was concern, and I realized what I was doing. There's a moment of silence between us. I look at Tenoch, and he looks back at me. I can still see the worry in his eyes. It's a terrible habit to have, Eric. I know. Promise me you won't do that again, okay? If it doesn't feel right, come and talk to me. Don't throw yourself at anyone. I promise I'll do my best. Seriously, it's amazing you haven't come across someone who would take advantage of you before. I guess I know how to pick my lovers. That brings a smile to both our faces. My heart is not really in it, but it's a start. And what made you feel this way? You don't have to talk about it, but I doubt that saying nothing will help. No, you're right. It's just I don't even know where to start exactly. I suppose that it was probably the council that started weighing on me, the one from this morning. About the letter from the Macedians? How do you know? Lus came to see me at the end of the morning. He didn't give me all the details, but I got the gist of it. He just wanted to make sure because I wasn't involved. And we're not involved. We have no interest in provoking a war. Right, that's what started to bother me, the idea that a war could be started so quickly between our nations. And as a result, what would become of me in the event of a war, I'd probably stop being a bar, wouldn't I? Under normal circumstances, you probably wouldn't be led to the front, but with your brand, that's what I thought. I'm not a warrior, Tenoch. Learning to defend myself is one thing, but taking part in a war, trying to kill someone else, that's completely different, and I don't know if I can do it. Well, the problem has been solved for the time being. Mikhail doesn't want war. I know. It's just that I realize the situation I'm really in. And as if that wasn't enough, I started dreaming about Viggo again. Your ex? Yeah. And it was that bad? It was just a reminder of what I'm capable of. A reminder that quite often my biggest problems are of my own making. I'm not made to live alone. I need people around me. I spent 5 years surviving alone on the streets, and let's just say that when Rhaegar picked me up, I was a mess. Seeing Viggo reminded me how quickly I can screw things up and how quickly I can return to solitude. You're being far too hard on yourself. What do you mean? I mean, sure you can be annoying at times, if not absolutely unbearable. Sorry? But you can also be charming, funny, incredibly cute, and also just the right amount of cheeky. It was just a dream, Eric. It wasn't Viggo. It was just your own mind playing tricks on you. But I'm not saying you haven't done anything in the past, but we've already discussed that. Who you were before doesn't define who you are now. You make mistakes. There are things you regret. Don't just feel sorry for yourself. Learn from it. Don't do the same thing again. What if I can? That would mean I was wrong about you, and that's a mistake I never make. He looks at me and I smile back. Learning from my past, I know he's right. I'm not a teenager anymore, but it's easier said than done. Especially when you don't want to come to terms with what you've done, I suppose. But I'm moving on. I'm making progress. I was able to speak tonight, even if I didn't go into detail. Thank you, and sorry that I have bothered you like this. Don't worry, that's what friends are for. Not to mention the fact that I was starting to go around in circles with my work, so I thought a little break was in order. Ooh, I can leave if you want me if you want to go back to your work. No, you're not disturbing me. You can stay on the sofa or even get a bit of sleep if you like. Sure, I'll just lie down for a bit. Tenoch gets up and stretches in front of me while I let myself sink into the sofa cushions. He then returns to his desk, picking up the papers there before sitting down. We could keep talking if you like. I could do several things at once. Oh, yeah, we can. We can also stay silent if you prefer. I prefer some noise, something to have a more pleasant way to end the day and not just be lost in my thoughts. I'll start around the room, looking for something that might start discussing. Eventually my gaze lands on two wood engravings displayed on one of the walls. This is the second time I've seen them, and my opinion hasn't changed since. They look as if someone has carved the landscape into the wood and someone else has clearly tried to reproduce it without much success. The first has a degree of elegance in the simplicity of its design. The others look like a child's doodle. And Tenoch, far be it from me to question your taste in decoration, but why do you have an ugly engraving on one of your walls? Firstly, you're painfully right about my artistic abilities, and secondly, there's a whole story behind it, if you want to hear it. You know, I'm a bard. Stories are kind of my thing. That's true. Once upon a time, seriously, I narrate, so I decided how to tell my story. Anyway, as I was saying, once upon a time, there was a young prince at Kazal. Let me guess, he was really handsome, charming, and intelligent. Of course, but he was also sad, even if he hid it. Long after his 20th birthday, no guy had yet chosen him. He was the only one of his age not yet branded. This part seems strangely familiar. Are you going to interrupt me all the time? Sorry, I'll try to make an effort. I set my tongue out at him, and he laughs briefly, clearly more amused than anything else. However, when the prince was 23, a god finally chose him. Argon placed his brand on him and blazed a fire and heat, and what a brand was, the greatest the world has ever seen. Having obtained what he wanted most and in such a spectacular way, the prince became arrogant. He was convinced that he had become superior to everyone else, that somehow his brand made him better. And he was determined to prove it. So he issued a challenge to the people of the capital. If anyone bearing the brand of Argon could do something that the prince could not, he would offer them their weight in gold. You can imagine the palace was swarming with people, but every time the result was the same. The prince's flames were bigger, hotter, more powerful. As the day wore on, no one seemed able to surpass the prince. The candidates began to lose heart and leave, while the prince's arrogance only increased. Then an old man arrived with a tiny brand on the back of his paw. It was barely visible in his scales. The prince roared with laughter. How could anyone with such a tiny brand, hope to defeat him? The old man had two wooden planks with him when he activated his brand to work on the first, burning the wood with precision, drawing what turned out to be a simple landscape. A beast with an anthracan wandering about. The old man then handed over the empty board and said, "This is my challenge, my prince. We'll produce this sample engraving." The prince roared with laughter again and picked up the plank, convinced that he could do it in an instant. He activated his brand, and the plank burst into flames. It was immediately reduced to ashes. He did it again and again and again, and each time the result was the same. In the end, he had to admit defeat. The old man returned home, and the prince paid him, for he was an African honor, and that day he learned some valuable lessons. Humility? Well, Argon, no. It's me we're talking about. First of all, I learned never to offer such sums of gold again. Father was furious for weeks. Secondly, I realized that no matter how strong I am, I'll never be able to do everything on my own, so I need to surround myself with people I can trust and people who are competent. He lifts his head from his papers and gives me a smile. So you were about to admit your mistakes and learn from your past, were you? I always knew you were a quick study. I'm doing my best anyway. However, I'm still trying to be able to reproduce this bloody engraving. One of these days, What's hanging on the wall is the result of my latest attempt. That's better than burning it to ashes, I suppose. Laugh all you want, but one day I'll be able to copy it perfectly. You know what? I'm just as sure of that as you are. Tonight gives me a surprised look before smiling at me again with tenderness in his eyes. He then stretches for a long time, letting out a yawn. It's getting really late, isn't it? Or early, perhaps? I doubt I'll get anything productive done now. It's time for me to get some sleep. Do you want me to go back? No, you can stay here. It's just that the sofa isn't necessarily the most. Eric? Yes? Jump into bed with me, will you? Oh, sure. I undress and throw myself on the Tenoch blankets. But so we're clear, we're just sleeping. Yeah, no worries, just sleeping. Tenoch slides in next to me and pulls me against him with a hug. I can feel the warmth of his body gently warming me, and I have to restrain myself from letting out a contented sigh. I can stay in this position forever in his arms, enjoying his warmth, just sleeping. To be continued. Hello everyone, this is where the month chapter ends. We hope you enjoyed this part of the story. If you want more information about NeveN, feel free to follow us on Twitter. We also have a Discord allowing you to chat among community members. Finally, if you would like to support our project, we also have a Patreon that offers you a series of benefits that's billed 2 weeks in advance, but also unique stories about the characters in NeveN. If you like the VN, please also feel free to rate us on itch.io. It will help us a lot. Once again, thank you all so much, and see you next month for the next chapter. Hey, so we got to see a side of Tenoch that we haven't seen before. He got a new expression, this angry or annoyed expression. There's something going on between him and Vo, the boar. And when Eric told Tenoch that he had a vision of Vo throwing a pebble at him, that was the last straw there, and Tenoch had Eric leave the place with him, and that he wouldn't let Vo teach him anymore. So there's some big tension between those two, between Tenoch and Vo, and to the point that they argued, and Tenoch let Vo know of his status. And I didn't expect that all from Tenoch, but anyway. Well, so NeveN is still provoking Eric in the stairway. Still bitter about the past and Eric being chosen over him instead. And it looks like Eric is slowly but surely learning how to use his powers. And if he continues learning how to use his powers, then he'll certainly be able to perform his powers, I wouldn't say perfectly, but I'd say very good. He'll be very good at performing his powers eventually. So he can freeze things, and also he can kind of tell what could happen. Like things that could happen in the future. That's what his powers. This is how he was able to know that Vol would throw a pebble at him, or how he knew Tenoch would kiss him. So can't wait to see how Eric is able to use his powers at a much more greater extent in the future. I wonder if we'll see Viggo eventually, because Viggo is still someone that's weighing Eric down. Like, Eric feels extremely guilty when it comes to Viggo and what he did to him, but Eric did to Viggo. I don't know exactly what it is, but hopefully we'll figure out what it is, and I don't know, maybe we'll eventually get to see Viggo. I have no idea. I hope so. At least they can settle the past and reconcile with each other and move on. So that's all I have to say for now. Next month will be the cat's turn for chapter 3, and after him we're going to move on with chapter 4, and that should be the chapter where we perform, where Eric and a cat perform for Prince Mabion for his birthday. So I guess that's what chapter 4 would be. So we also found out that Tenoch is actually the Emperor's son, and that his mother is not part of the imperial family that sees a palace servant, and that's something the emperor was not supposed to do. He's supposed to marry somebody of his status, and instead he married a palace servant. So that's how Tenoch was born. He's a bastard child, so apparently he's challenging for the heir to the throne. So I didn't think he would be the heir to the emperor, but I thought he was like part of an elite family, a noble family, but it turned out he is royalty. Well, kind of royalty, but anyway. He is the emperor's son, and the emperor's other son, who was born to the emperor's previous wife, he's actually a true royal. He's a true royal, so when his father decided to give Tenoch a shot at being the emperor, the son got angry because he thought it was supposed to be his. So basically, Tenoch, it's possible that he'll be emperor pretty soon of the most powerful nation on the continent. So looks like Eric is, these past handful of weeks, has gone from being an unknown person and traveling the countryside to being around high-ranking people and some of the most important people in the continent, like the kings of Frostfang and the ambassador and Kazel's ambassador to Frostfang, as well as someone who could possibly be emperor soon. So a lot of very important people that he's been around with. He's also been able to make friends with Prince Mabion, who will be king one day. So certainly his life has changed drastically. He's around the most important and powerful people in the continent. So that's all I have to say for now. All the description for all the information for the game is in the description box below. Thank y'all very much for watching. Goodbye.